Hello everybody, it's Latham Montgomery with Burnin' Designs. Today we're going to go over some of the textures that I have used on the Skyway project for the Kickstarter. One of the things that separates this Kickstarter apart from most of the other ones that are doing MDF and plywood terrain like this and laser cut products in general is that they're going for what are basically vectored graphic lines for most of your design on them. Now, a vectored graphics line is pretty simple and very easy to do, and it's one of the advantages of doing it. In that, if I hold this piece up here, you can see, and I'll try and move some light. There we go. So you can see that those lines on that, and I'll bring it even closer to the camera, those are vectored lines. They are just simple, narrow width lines. And the way that you do those is by running, when you run the laser, instead of running, you lower the power on it essentially. So you're going to lower the power level so that you get a deep enough line that doesn't go all the way through the piece. And that works really nice in that you can put, you can put a lot of detail in a piece that way. The one trade-off with it is your drawings can become very complex, especially if you're trying to do something with a lot of texture to it. So what we're doing with this Kickstarter, and what's kind of separating it apart, is we're doing what are called raster-based graphics or engraved graphics. The advantage to these is not only can I do the thin lines, but I can also add textures to pieces. So take this piece for example, and I'll again move the light so you can see. That has, there we go, has a texture to it. And if I run my finger across it, you can see how that's a nice engraved piece. Well, the advantage to doing that kind of thing is, number one, when you go to paint it, it's very easy to paint. With the thin lines, it's very easy to lose a line in your painting if you put the paint on too heavy. With these, because they're a textured surface, all you do is just paint it as you normally would, give it a light dry brush, and you pick out a lot of those details. So it opens up a lot of different options for you. So for example, and I will move a little closer, if I bring in like this piece, which is the elevator piece, you can see how we have that texture on the top. But even then, we also did the same thing with the acrylic parts to add some more detail, so it's not just smooth acrylic. Same thing with the section back here. Those are actually engraved in there as opposed to being lined. So it opens up some different options in that you can do things such as this little, you see a little inset around the window. So that way when you go to paint it, you can pick out those details a lot better, and it's a little bit easier. The basic texture that we're using for the majority of it is this one, which is kind of a conveyor belt style pattern. And again, this is a nice heavy texture, takes paint really well, and hopefully I'll have enough time that I can show you some painted ones of these. Same thing on the sides, in that you've got a nice deep line with your insets. So from a painting point of view, it opens up a lot of different options. You can even do some of the more complex textures. So this is oddly enough a piece that I'm still working on that may get added into it. We'll see how it goes. This is a landing pad piece. And with it, if I bring it in here, you can see that there's a lot of texture in there that you just wouldn't be able to do if we were doing it just as a vector-based graphic. So that's kind of a preview of some of the textures that we're using in the system. There are others. It's really going to come down to how many different ones we can add, where we're going to use them, where they're going to give you the most benefit. On larger pieces, like the walkways, for example, doing them as a texture one just gives you that extra little pop. For some of the smaller pieces, we're going to do a mix of line-based graphics, or the vector-based graphics and the raster graphics, so that you can get a lot of different textures and a lot of different ideas. I mean, just as an example, this would be one of the acrylic insets from the walkway piece, and a little dusty. Gotta love the workshop. But those are vectored in, as opposed to doing engraved. So it's really going to depend on where it's needed in the piece and what the different options are. But you get an idea of what's possible with it. Well, this should be enough for this video. If you haven't gotten your pledge in now, go ahead and get it in. We have, at the time of recording this, about 17, 18 days left. So definitely get your pledge in. We end April 19th. So get your pledges in, and we'll talk to you some more about this Kickstarter. Take care.